Guys, delighted to announce that I am joined by the self-proclaimed most knowledgeable man in boxing, my brother. He's back on the channel. I was having a pretty crap day at work today when my phone rang to tell me the news. John, what was your initial reaction?
Well, I was walking home from work and I was in the car park and I was going through my phone and I saw the tweet from Dan Raphael and it said breaking news. And I thought, ooh, that's interesting. And then I read it and I think I just went, holy shit. And I sort of looked at it for a few seconds, and then I thought, I'd call you. I thought might have heard something.
In a word, positive or negative?
Difficult to do in a word. Positive in terms of I think it might actually be a fun fight. Negative in terms of connotation.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I must admit, my initial reaction was positive. I posted a video about an hour ago, just breaking the news on the channel. And I was quite surprised, actually. You know, boxing fans as a group were generally quite a negative bunch. But the reaction here was more negative than I thought. Essentially, people think Khan is running from Kell, brook. And people think Canelo is running from Triple G. And they think this is like a marriage of convenience. You know, the two guys are fighting because they'd rather fight each other than... you know, the harder competitors in their own weight class, and they kind of view it as a farce. I mean, who'd have thought Amir Khan would be fighting for the lineal middleweight championship of the world when he was knocked out by Bradis Prescott? I mean, let's break it down point by point. Is this a duck from Canelo? Is this a duck from Khan?
No.
Expand.
I don't think you can accuse Khan of ducking anyone when he's gone for arguably a much harder fight. You know, it's wrong to say he's avoided Brook in that sense because he's taken what I would be a much harder fight. Presumably there are financials here that we just aren't aware of.
I agree.
Challenge.
It is a much harder fight, I agree. But what Eddie Hearn was saying in his interview with IFL TV is if he loses to Canelo Alvarez, his career is still fine. Whereas if he loses to Kell, brook, his career is over. Do you think there's much weight behind that argument?
I don't know about fine. I think he'll take a really savage knock. But if he does lose, it will be, I'm a 147 who went up 2 weight cuts, probably weighed 175 on the night. Yeah. So I don't reckon it'll be fine. I think it'll be really hard to still claim he's one of the best in the world, the best welterweight division. The welterweight division will moved on by the time Khan fights.
Speak into the phone a bit more. You're a little bit muffled. Speak clearly. And in terms of Canelo, why has Canelo taken this fight? Is it to avoid Triple G?
I don't think it's to avoid Triple G. They are meant to be fighting, pretty much mandated in September, which is why they're both looking for opponents. I think Canelo and his management have actually done a really clever job here. They've picked a well-known fighter, known fighter who fights in the US, brings it, has a bit of a chin on him, or chinny, I should say, and will make for a not brilliant PPV, but you can make an argument, semi-argument that it should be a pay-per-view. Oh,
this is pay-per-view, surely. This is pay-per-view in America, this is pay-per-view in Mexico, and this is pay-per-view in the UK, don't you think?
I agree, I agree. But if you look at the people that GGG was being lined up to fight, Torino Johnson, Dominic Wade, that isn't.
No, I agree. So you think that Khan will still fight Brook and Canelo will still fight Triple G, it's just this fight is coming in the interim?
I think, yes, although I reckon the sort of whining that will go on, either way, if Khan wins or loses in regards to another Brook fight, is going to be astronomical, because either he'll be the middleweight champion, the lineal middleweight champion, who'll then have to fight Golovkin, lest we forget.
God, imagine if Khan fights Golovkin.
Yeah, exactly. But he'll have to, won't he? It's mandated.
Yeah. Well, and, he'll have to or vacate the belt.
Yeah. And if he does, and if he loses, then he can say, "Oh, that doesn't affect my standing at 147."
If he loses, does the Brook versus Khan fight still get made?
Yeah. Well, probably not. In terms of the way the negotiations will jump around.
It will have to be 50-50, won't it?
Minimum. But I'm not entirely sure that fight will actually happen. It's in the way towards the junior, which Ricky happens.
Funnily enough, I think if Amir Khan does win the fight, it's even less likely Brook Khan happens.
Agreed.
I mean, Khan will want a 95-5 split, won't he?
He'll have to fight GGG. and then, he'll probably meander 154.
I reckon he'd
The next
vacate
fight-
and fight the Pacquiao-Bradley winner, to be honest, if he were to win.
I reckon he'd vacate and fight Miguel Cotto.
So, where does this leave Kell Brook? I mean, I did a video a few weeks back saying that if Kell Brook couldn't get the Amir Khan fight with Eddie Hearn, he'd have no option but to leave Eddie Hearn and head over to the States. He's fighting Kevin Bizier in a fight that nobody's even talking about in a few months. And then he's going to be left with nothing again. And, you've got Pacquiao tied up, Khan tied up, Bradley tied up, Furman tied up, Porter tied up. There's no big summer fight out there for Kell Brook either. I mean, where does this leave Kell Brook in your mind?
Well, you are right, but I don't think we can blame Eddie Hearn for this. And none of us knew this was happening. It just appeared out of the blue. So I'm not sure the blame can really rest with Eddie Hearn.
You're right. I mean, the blame can't rest with Eddie Hearn specifically for this. But what you do have to say is Eddie Hearn has consistently not been able to secure the big fights for Kell Brook.
I reckon the big fight that no one seems to be talking about, because maybe it won't happen, maybe I'm being deluded here, but if and when Adrian Broner beats Ashley Fiopek, I reckon that is a fight that could happen.
What, Kell Brook Broner?
Yeah.
At 147?
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, there's so few competitors out there that you'd have to say guys like Broner and Garcia would certainly enter the mix. But let's be honest, Adrian Broner's not coming over to the UK, is he?
No. I mean, but it could go to Perth the same way the Gale fight did, and then we'll see.
Yeah, well,
all the Danny Garcia fights for that matter.
The problem is, Kell Brook versus Broner isn't pay-per-view in the States, is it? It's not mega money.
Lest we forget, Danny Garcia doesn't have to fight Amir Khan now.
Yeah, but again, Amir Khan's not coming over to the UK, is it? Is he? And, Kell Brook's...
No, but it means the fight is there. It might have to happen in America after a purse bid.
Yeah.
But the possibility is there.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you know the rumours are that this is going to be on the same night as Fury-Klitschko 2?
Really?
So, presumably, there'll be a joint pay-per-view offering, would you imagine?
Yeah, surely. You'd thought that would be the only way to do it. I mean, one will detract from the other.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be amazed if they'd clash. I mean, the only option would be if Fury-Klitschko went on Sky pay-per-view and Khan went on Box Nation pay-per-view. But you'd think realistically they'd win both. But that's going to be, I mean, these are two massive fights. Do you think Sky are going to have to raise the pay-per-view price to £25 or £30 or something like that?
If it goes up to 25, I wouldn't be surprised. 30 might be pushing it. I mean, considering how much cheaper our PPVs are over here compared to American ones.
Yeah, I mean, Tyson Fury's not going to want to take less money than he took last time. That's what I'm thinking. But, Canelo is, to be honest, Canelo is possibly a bigger fight on a global basis.
On a global basis, yeah, but what most people will do is they'll watch the Tyson Fury fight and then set their Skybox to record.
Yeah. So, what, you think they'll be on... Do you reckon Sky is the most likely broadcaster?
Well, they seem to have the most clout. Obviously, it's still Eddie Hearn, Eddie Hearn's channel at the end of the day, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. £155, do you see Amir Khan as a capable fighter at that weight?
It's £8, we'll see. I mean, he's not a massive welterweight, but he obviously cuts down to get there.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what he's walking around at.
Apparently he weighed in at 160 for the Devon Alexander fight.
Well, there we are. He may come in at the 160 or 162 region for the fight itself. But I'm interested. I think it could be a very fun fight to watch. It depends just how much Khan can move.
Yeah, so give us the keys. Let's just briefly, if you're Amir Khan, what are the keys to victory?
Lightning fast jab, the occasional right hand, and then run. It's got to be a combination of sort of the way he started fighting against Danny Garcia with the movement of Erislandy Lara.
If you're Canelo, what are the keys to victory?
Get your hands up, walk him down. And he's not going to put Canelo down, especially when Canelo rehydrates.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the troubles Lamont Peterson gave Amir Khan, do you think Canelo could give him the same problems, but as a much bigger man who hits a lot harder?
Much more. Canelo will walk forward with his hands up. Khan will have to try... If Canelo can lock down his lateral movement, at some point Amir Khan's going to be in a corner. When you're going to have a man who was a light heavyweight trying to punch him in the head.
Amir Khan's defence, how big a concern is that for you going into this fight?
It's always a bit of a concern with the Khan defence, but at this point, I think for this fight, the defence has to be moving. Really can't stand there with his hands up. He gets clipped around the ears or something.
We've lost you. We've lost you. Speaking to the phone.
His defence is always a bit of an issue. But if he stands there with his hands up and even gets clipped around the ear, that might be enough. If the equilibrium goes.
Canelo might be able to take him to the body as well, mightn't he?
Agreed. Although Khan does like a good body shot, like he did against Maidana in the first.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not going to hurt Canelo, is he?
Probably not.
No, I mean, Khan's power seemed to dry up at 147. I don't even think he's had a knockout at 147, so he's not going to have a knockout at 155, surely.
Probably not, no. Although you might say he'll be heavier, so he might be stronger. But we'll see. If
you were a bookmaker, what percentage chance do you give Amir Khan of winning this fight?
If I was being very generous, 30, maybe 30, 35.
Wow, that is very generous. So you think if they fought 3 times, Khan would win once?
No, I reckon Khan might make it close one.
Yeah. The question for me is, if Canelo hits Amir Khan, is that the end of the fight? And for me, with Canelo's boxing brain, experience, and the fact he's got 12 rounds to do it, is Amir Khan really going to be able to stay defensive and keep his chin out for the whole 12 rounds?
Probably not, hence my emphasis on movement. If he can, he needs to be dancing, he needs to be, not quite running, but, taking it across to the other side of the ring after throwing 4 or 5 jabs.
Let's not forget, Canelo's been in the ring with smaller guys before. He fought Erislandy Lara, who's a smaller man than him, and he fought Floyd Mayweather, who's a much smaller man than him. Both of those guys had great success, especially Floyd Mayweather, outboxing Canelo. Mayweather could live with the power. Does Amir Khan have a similar chance of outboxing Canelo, or is his defence just too weak?
I think, in terms of pure boxing, he does. He's got lightning fast hands, and he can move. But I think it'll be there will be, after 11 rounds of being walked down, will that pep in his jab still be there, and will Canelo just come onto him?
Give me your prediction.
Canelo by middling finish.
I think, I hate to say it, Canelo by early to middle KO.
Yeah.
I just don't think Amir Khan's going to stay away for the time, and I don't think he's going to be able to stay on his feet when Canelo lands.
Danny Garcia did it with 1 left hook. Canelo was a much bigger man than Danny Garcia.
And a much bigger puncher as well, even taking weight classes out of it, Floyd Mayweather suggested Canelo might be the hardest puncher he's ever fought, John, I'm going to cut this video here. Stay on the line though, I've got something else to ask you about.
Cool.
Thanks everyone for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We'll be covering this fight all the way up to May the 7th.